Oh, brother. Huh? How about that one? Good evening. Welcome to After the Buzzer. My name is Keith Schertz. I run things here at Hive Stay Hockey and like having this live stream, chance to hang out with you following the Utah Hockey Club game. I am obviously thrilled about a hockey team being in Utah. I'm enjoying the inaugural season, except for, as we watch more games, it's like, oh yeah, no, this would be like being an Arizona Coyotes fan. Hey, so look, this is this is one of the things that we talk about as we're here. It's a place to kind of commiserate as we go through the losses to Montreal tonight by score 5-3. I was a play-by-play voice for the local college here, BYU, and also for Utah Valley University, and love talking about and thinking about the terrific game of hockey. So thank you for tuning in tonight. If it's your first time, welcome. We're so happy to see you here. And if you are returning and you're back with us once again, welcome back. It means the world, and congratulations on exceedingly fine taste, on coming back. You came here and you enjoyed it. You've come back again. It's like a fine restaurant. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. First of all, Car Wash, thank you. Thanks for being here. Sorry about the game tonight. Sorry about the loss. A couple things that are worth kind of discussing as it relates to this game is, boy, that was maybe the worst Mikhail Sergachev game of the season, right? That was really rough by him. He was sloppy, right? Sergachev not very good tonight. He really struggled, and tonight in his dreams he's going to be seeing Jake Evans just skating right by him on the power play. They gave up so many shorthanded opportunities and breakaways. It ended up in a penalty shot. They could have even scored on the penalty shot. Like, oh man, like what an insane amount of opportunities that Jake Evans was able to generate. Now, he is dangerous. He scored 3 shorthanded goals coming into this game. It's one of those things that, I don't know if they just thought that other teams have this problem, it won't be a problem for us. I don't know what happened. All I know is that guy's fast. He's got an active stick. He's a good penalty killer. And it was like the power penalty kill. So congratulations to Jake Evans. Color me impressed. Terrific penalty killing tonight by Jake Evans. And, Kirby Dach, the couple goals scored by Kirby Dach, that was awesome. Also, the Canadiens, right? They also got Lane Hutson going. Lane Hutson, awesome rookie, playing back on the blue line. He's skating. He's kind of got that, that new school, like high-end defenseman skill set that you see. They may have something really great there in Montreal as it relates to Lane Hutson. Other notes that I had in this game too, obviously Cole Caulfield continues to be a menace. It comes along with his game. I still am a huge fan of Nick Suzuki. I think he's terrific. And also Alex Newhook gets the award for the player that, before I started watching Utah Hockey Club, the player that I'd always get confused with Alex Kerfoot. Alex Kerfoot wore 15. Alex Newhook, he wears 15. A couple of double O's in the last name, same length of last name. Anyway, similar kind of player, sort of. So anyway, that's it's nice that that happened. So I think those are kind of the main things. It's an interesting night. It was nice to see Josh Doan get that power play goal. I think that makes a lot more sense. If you remember, I was complaining in the previous game against the New York Islanders that since losing Gunther, one of the things they did on the power play is they moved Nick Schmaltz over to the left wing circle where Dylan Gunther was. And then what they did is they put right in front of the net, they put Matthias Michelli in the bumper spot, which did not make any sense to me. That did not make any sense to me. But Matias Maccelli finds his way out of that line, and they throw in Josh Doan to play the bumper spot, and it pays dividends. He gets the goal on the rebound on the 5-on-3. He also had a chance to score another goal from that spot, in the bumper spot, and the power play goal. He's certainly more equipped to do, and I actually think he's actually more equipped than Nick Schmaltz was to be in that spot. That's different kind of thing. Doan's there trying to really be a screen. He's really trying to be there to pounce on rebounds, whereas Nick Schmaltz is trying to get that pass in the slot, and he can shoot, or he's looking to pass it across. And so it's a different approach to that bumper spot. Different kind of player for sure between Josh Doan and what we're seeing in Nick Schmaltz. But Josh Doan has got something, doesn't he? Doesn't he play a style of hockey that you like? If you're here, I'd love to hear from you about, your thoughts on Josh Doan in the couple games he's been back. Obviously, there's a huge hole missing as the leading goal scorer is no longer with us, Dylan Guenther. But at the same time, it's nice to see Josh Doan come up. He has brought some interesting things to the lineup. I also think it's fascinating to consider. I like the way Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley are playing together. Now, look, there's no defense on that line between Nick Schmaltz and Cooley and Clayton Keller. There's no defense in that line. It's Logan Cooley's defense has made some strides in year 2, but he's certainly not on his way to winning a Selke trophy. That's something that needs to improve significantly in his game. And so it leaves you a little bit vulnerable when you play that group together. Tonight, they just to look at the statistics, they had just under 10 minutes of ice time in 5-on-5 tonight. Cooley, Schmaltz, and Keller. In that, they managed to, dominate the play. They drove play. They had 12 Corsi shots, 7 against. So that was really strong, right? They did a good job of maybe controlling the puck about 63% of the time when they had that opportunity. Obviously, the shots 4, 5 to 3, so that's good. And then finally, they split the goal total, right? So they were plus minus 0 even tonight. 1 goal for, 1 goal against tonight as it relates to that. But as it relates to what they were able to accomplish on the ice tonight in 5-on-5, that was a very strong group that needed to find a way to make those things happen. Again, yeah, that's how those things go. Yeah, Car Wash, this homestand not going well. 1-3 so far. An overtime loss, though, so 3 points through 4 games in this 7-game homestand. This is the worst home team in all of the NHL. I don't know why they struggle so bad at home. You heard my theory last time on After the Buzzer, where I talked a little bit about how maybe it's a fun place to live and there's like stuff to do and people to meet and family here. But when you're on the road, it's a business trip. And so when you're here on a business trip, like you're just kind of checking it out and hopefully you're not walking the streets and getting hit. What a crazy story that was. What a crazy story that was. So hopefully that player from Montreal gets healthy quickly tonight. I thought that obviously you're seeing on the second line Matias Maccelli. He looks more at home. He looks more effective up on the second line. It's one of those things that will be really fascinating to watch as we continue to see what this team does going forward, because Matias Maccelli on the third line has not worked, but up in the second line, those things have kind of come together. And then it was nice to see Nick Bjugstad get a goal tonight after such a long period of time without a goal for Nick Bjugstad. And again, Nick Bjugstad is one of the players that we'd love to see get going, just because if the third line and fourth line can start being more productive, especially that third line. If the third line finds a way to start scoring more goals, it certainly gives Utah a much better chance to try to turn around what they're doing. If the point is to play meaningful games late in the season where you're in the wild card hunt and maybe squeeze into playoffs, the third line has to do more. The other thing that is, really interesting about it is that if Nick Bjugstad can kind of get his game going as a center who is decent, if he can put in some stats and show that he's not cooked, that it's not over. This is a expiring contract guy. That's a trade deadline guy. We'd love to see that. So everything you see out of Nick Bjugstad serves two great reasons. One, it's great for the team in the current, and it's really great for the future of the team too. So it's one of those really interesting as he increases his statistics and plays a little bit better. Maybe it also means we can get a little bit better of asset for him if we decide to trade him. I would think they'd want to try to trade him. There are other players in the system that they need to bring along. Obviously, centers are hard to come by, but if another team is panicking in their playoff push and they want to maybe bolster their centers, maybe they look at Nick Bjugstad as an option. So you'd love to see him get on the board and continue to have those things come to play for him. Look, I don't want to get this confused. I want to make sure that we're really straightforward as it relates to the Utah Hockey Club. This is not a great hockey team, guys. They've got a couple of nice players who we want to see continue to develop. Logan Cooley, he's got skills, right? And he really shows them off from time to time. And I think for a second season, he's not having a step backwards. He's building on last season. And it feels like as the season goes on, he's getting more and more momentum. So that's great. But this team is 25th in the NHL in goals for per game. They score 2.79 goals a game. It's 25th in the NHL. The goals against per game, in terms of playing good defense, they give up 2.93 goals per game. So they give up more goals than they score, and that makes them 20th in the NHL. And that is one of those things that kind of makes your brain wrinkle for a second. This is a team that gives up more goals than they score, and yet they are over 500 in their points percentage, which just tells you those loser points are important. Those loser points are really important for this team. They are second in the NHL in loser points. They've gotten 7 overtime losses this year. Only the Canucks have more. They have 10. And the difference for the Canucks is significant, right? Those 3 extra points puts them at 48. Definitely puts them in the playoff hunt. They only have one more win this season than Utah Hockey Club, but because they have so many more overtime losses, 3 more, there they are, third place in the wild card race right now. They are 1 point out of a playoff spot. So one of the things to think about, this team just needs to find a way to grind out points. But, I don't know that future, that hope is going to be attained. It's a fascinating thing as you look at the oncoming seasons. Daniel Boot playing really well right now for Yaroslav Lokomotiv in the KHL. Daniel Boot, his contract in the KHL ends at the end of this year. Traditionally, Russians don't want to come over to the United States to be in the American Hockey League. They would like to play in the NHL. So the question is are you going to add more goal scoring? He's big. He's like 6'5". He is a big sniper kind of hockey player. He is scoring goals at the highest level of Russian hockey, which is probably the highest level outside that top level KHL. might be the second best league in the world. He is playing on Yaroslav Lokomotiv, so he's playing, really competitive games. He's not on like a developmental team. That is a team that is trying to win the whole thing. He plays significant minutes, and he's like 4th on the team in points this year. So like, he's a productive hockey player. I think that it'll translate. They also have Dmitry Shimashev, who it gets reported from time to time that he may join on the blue line. His contract ends with Yaroslav Lokomotiv, so he hasn't done as much. His minutes have gone up from year over year, but he's only playing like 14 minutes a game on the blue line for Lokomotiv. But again, he is a young player, and young players on the blue line typically take more time to develop. So it's one of those interesting questions of like, are we going to have a 20-year-old Russian kid be on our blue line next year? And are we trading that out? Like, are we, where we play, where the minutes that come in for like Ian Cole, do those become Dmitry Shimashevs next year? I mean, that's interesting. I don't know how open either those Russian players are going to be to being in the minors. I would like to see them play in the minors just to learn kind of the American way, but it's an interesting thing to think about. In terms of the overall development of this team, I think that the Utah Hockey Club, has made some steps forward. Obviously, the Dylan Guenther injury stinks a lot, but the second half of the season needs to be about Logan Cooley stepping into being a 1C. Like, what that injury has done is it has made it so that Barrett Hayton has had to step back and play on the second line as the center, and Logan Cooley is playing up top with a high-end goal scorer like Clayton Keller. And the question is can they elevate each other? Can Logan Cooley get Nick Schmaltz going? And for a guy that got off to the season so slowly, can he drag Nick Schmaltz up to that 20-25 goals? Can Keller still reach 30 goals this year? Can Logan Cooley get himself to 20 goals again and continue the process of producing while improving his overall play? As he takes on the role of a 1C, he is going to have to be kind of the tough guy on that line and find a way to get back and play a lot of defense and be a two-way player. As his minutes go up, his conditioning is going to be called into question. So, I think it's a great learning opportunity as it relates to Logan Cooley. As it relates to Barrett Hayton, honestly, it's where Barrett Hayton should be long-term, is the second line center. And then, in terms of the other young guys that we're bringing along, it's Dylan Guenther, it's McBain. McBain has not looked nearly as good when he's not playing next to Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther, which makes sense. But we'd love to see them do things to put themselves in a better position. So really pleased for the opportunity this team will have, but I am pretty nervous, frankly, about what the postseason prospects of this team are going to be. They are creeping ever so closely to being 10 points back of the last playoff spot in the West, and that is a pretty big gap to make up. And between them and that spot are three other teams, so they've got a lot of work to do. 10 points, they got to jump over three other teams. They need all three of those teams to lose when they win. That is a very big ask. They need to put together quite a nice little run and winning streak here. So that's the story. That's the story of the Utah Hockey Club right now. Is they're just not playing particularly strong. Now, the last thing would be John Marino coming back. John Marino had a really great season 2 seasons ago. He was awesome for the New Jersey Devils. He took a step backwards last year. And so the question is, which guy is he? And how do you put him in a system that makes him more consistent? So that'll be one of the big things that we need to witness throughout the back half of this year is what happens with John Marino. And then there's the other question of do you worry about rushing and getting Sean Durzi back? It's going to depend greatly on whether or not Utah's still in shouting distance of the playoffs. To me, as soon as you get more than 10 points out and there's a 5-game gap between you and the playoffs, 5 games is a lot, right? So as soon as they get into that spot where they're that many points out of it, that becomes a thing of maybe we, we're out, and so at that point, it's about development, it's about health, it's about long-term thinking here. We've got Sean Durzi on a long-term contract. We just signed him this last offseason. So the question is do you rush him back in so that he can get a couple more games under his legs? Or do you just continue to rehab him and boost your draft pick? It's an interesting debate and dilemma that this team is going to have. It also needs to be something that kind of gets decided here over the next month. Let me look that up. When is the NHL trade deadline? Let's check that out real quick. NHL trade deadline date. March 7th. Okay. Yeah, so in the next 6 weeks, that'll get ironed out, I think. And I don't know what that gap should be exactly. I just know that if it's a 10-point gap or more, especially around March 7th, in 6 more weeks of games, for all of February, Utah Hockey Club has 9 more games during that stretch. There's probably, between now and then, there's probably another 12 or 13 games. There's 14 more games. And so the thing is that the schedule will have kind of played itself out. So this next little 10-game stretch is going to be huge. It's going to determine what the team needs to do as it relates to their trade assets, what's going to happen with Nick Bukestad. Obviously, if you can get anything for him, that'd be great. Kerfoot, that's another one. If you can get any, there's a chance you might be able to get something pretty nice for Kerfoot. Carcone, Olimata, Ian Cole, they're all expiring contracts. Karel Vejmelka, it's again, you can't usually don't get much for a goalie, but the bottom line is all of those players are in expiring contracts. And by March, it could be decided, and then you play out the rest of March, and you play the rest of the games that they're gonna have, and you survive the last 20 games after decimating yourself and trying to trade as many of those guys. It's unlikely that they're gonna be able to trade all 6. I mean, if they're not able to see the ice consistently, like Michael Carcone, if you can't see the ice consistently and you can't, really score consistently. Last year he got 20 goals, but he's not going to do that this year. Carcone, is unlikely to be a trade asset in any way. But Olimata, yeah. Ian Cole, yeah. Veggie, if another team is really looking to boost their goalkeeping, that would be a hard one for this market. People have come to really like Vejmelka. But if you got something good in return for that, that's something that you could think about. Because you also, I don't know how much he's going to command as an unrestricted free agent, but I'm already scared of that contract. I just am. And then, yeah, Kerfoot and Bukestad we've talked about. I think especially like Bukestad, because so many teams are just looking for another center. And if Bukestad can just show, that he's consistent and steady and he's not cooked, like there's a real chance that you could get something for him. And then Kerfoot, even though he's a winger, you usually don't get as much for a winger because there's more of them to pick from. Like, he's such a good energy guy. He's a good competitor. Like, I don't know. I just see a team being able to add that to your team. That's a great depth piece because it's so versatile. That's what I see from him. So it'll be interesting. 10 more games, 12 more games, and we're going to really know what the destiny of this Utah Hockey Club is. But until then, we'll continue to watch them kind of grind out these games and see what's next for them. They really are in a bad stretch here. Now, the next team that comes in is the New York Rangers, and that is a team with internal turmoil, and everyone's talking about how terrible and crappy they are this season. But they've got 42 points. Utah Hockey Club has 43. Now, that's a terrible result for the New York Rangers because they've got, Zibanejad, and they've got, Lafreniere, and they've got, Kreider, and they've got so many good players. So many good players. Plus, they have got, like, maybe the second best goalie in hockey. So I don't know why they seem to be struggling so much. I don't know why they're 8th in the wild card hunt right now in the East. But I just would say that that's a scary team that has a lot of talent. They are not playing great hockey as they enter the Delta Center next on Thursday night. But I will say that is a team that should give Utah a lot of trouble. There is a lot of talent on that team. And again, that's also a team where you do not want to give them power play looks. There's just too much talent. Panarin's on that team. Like they've got a lot of really great players. So really a game that they need to be careful. They need to be very careful. I was going to look at the rest advantage just to give you a heads up on that. And there is not a rest advantage. It's even. New York played tonight. And so there is the same amount of rest heading into that game. Who did New York play tonight? I'm just curious. Let's just see what happened tonight to them. They played the Avalanche and lost in overtime. 3-2. Okay. So they played a tough one tonight. Obviously, the Avalanche softened them up a little bit for us, but that was a kind of... The other part of this game tonight against the Habs, it was so just like... It was ugly hockey. It's just a sloppy game. Really a strange game. So, anyway, all right. We have that as we look forward to the next game. So it'll be an interesting one to get ready for, to take a look at this Thursday as they'll take on the New York Rangers. And, the other one I want to look up real quick. Let me just see if I can find this real fast. If I can find it fast, we'll talk about it. If not, we're not going to. And we're not going to. All right, that's it. That is it for tonight's After the Buzzer broadcast. Utah Hockey Club loses to Montreal. They split the season series. Both away teams come away with a win in that series. So after year one, 1-1 on the record sheet for Montreal and Utah Hockey Club. And we will see them next season. And next, we'll get the New York Rangers, a team who Utah Hockey Club beat at Madison Square Garden in the third game of the season this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Again, that's it for tonight. I thought that Josh Doan, we'll give him the award. Him and Keller were maybe the two best players for Utah Hockey Club tonight. Cooley was really good as well. So there you go. Those are the 3 stars for Utah Hockey Club. But really, this night was about Montreal. I thought that Montreal did so many good things getting through the neutral zone. One soft goal let in by Vejmelka, but outside of that, That's what it looked like tonight. So that is it for After the Buzzer. We will be back on Thursday night, and we will see you then. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you real soon.